Welcome to M&G Agency Life. This time, we're going full tech mode.
Yep, Series 3 is all about the tech that powers the work we do here at Mearns & Gill.
Because behind everything we do, there's a whole lot of clever stuff happening behind the scenes.
And we're here to break it all down. No jargon, no complicated waffle, just clear, practical insight.
We'll be chatting SEO and web builds.
Video that grabs attention in the first few seconds.
Digital retargeting that actually works, and lots more.
So, whether you're a business owner, a marketer, or just someone who loves understanding how things work,
this series is for you. Let's talk tech. Shall we do this?
Oh, heck yes.
Welcome back to M&G Agency Life Series 3, Let's Talk Tech.
So far this series, we've covered everything from SEO to creative.
Don't forget didgeridooing, because we covered that last time, didn't we?
Important.
Yeah.
Fun.
Today, we're talking about one of the biggest drivers of engagement right now, and that has to be video.
Yep, specifically video for social, what works, what doesn't, and how to create content that stands out in a busy feed.
Joining us today, we have Weronika, our content creator. Hi, Rons.
Hello.
And we also have Ryan back in the podcast room, our digital marketing manager. Ryan, welcome back.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So, by the end of this episode, you'll have an understanding of how to create a social video that grabs attention and drives action.
That is the aim of this episode. So,
Yep.
I guess let's start simple, like we like to do.
Yep.
Firstly, why do we think video is such a big deal right now for social? Ryan, Weronika, who wants to go?
We've published lately a digital forecast from our team.
Right.
The Mearns & Gill Digital Forecast, which actually, a piece of that looks into the rise of video in sort of a marketing landscape, and particularly the rise of short-form video. I think we can all agree that 90% of the time now when you go on social media, you come across a video on all channels now. I think it's not just Instagram, it's not just TikTok, it's on Facebook, it's on LinkedIn, it's everywhere. Short form video is kind of the way we're now more and more consuming content on a daily basis. So I think that will naturally sort of fall into the marketing plan, the marketing campaigns. It's crazy, like just how much like for example on YouTube, 200 billion daily views a day.
It's wild, isn't it?
TikTok there's an average of 35 hours a month a user spends on TikTok.
And that's just Aimee.
That's obsessed.
So it's super competitive.
Yes.
And I know later in this episode, we're going to talk about, well, how do we make people stop? So I'm excited to hear your views on that.
What do you think makes video different from other types of content then?
So I think it's the only format when you get a voice, expression and movement.
Okay.
And it tells a story. It feels more like a real interaction as well, it tends to connect better than like a static post would.
Yeah, that point about static posts is so true, because a lot of the work we do, and Ron's, a lot of the work that you do when you're writing about filming kind of replaces some clients that might just previously have posted a static graphic where it gets all the information across, but is it stopping people? Which I guess leads on to the next part of this podcast. How do we stop this scroll? So what actually makes someone stop scrolling when they see a video?
I think it starts with a very strong hook, as if with all marketing assets. You need something compelling on there, but I think with video in particular, the first few seconds count. They're critical. So I think you need to ensure that you're upfront with the message that you want to communicate, that you are, being clear, that you're not overcomplicating it, that everything in terms of the sequence, the music, the graphical elements, or the way people are speaking, it's clear, it's not overwhelming, that kind of thing.
Let's go back to that hook you were speaking about. It's obviously really important for video content. What's some examples of that?
I would say, the challenge, or engaging with people in a way that they can resonate. So, whether that's a shared challenge, a shared opportunity. I think, we spoke about this briefly in our content strategy piece, but I think it's just knowing who your audience is, knowing who you're talking to, and then being able to shape that first upfront message that they'll see to really sort of talk to them clearly.
When you're aware of this and you get into the process of following that video structure of let's start with a hook, let's get into the messaging really quick, and let's end on a really clear call to action. If you follow that process, you're more aware of it. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
We did, because we do presentation training here at Mearns & Gill, and we had a group in they're journalists. They're really good at what they do, but they're doing more and more pieces to camera. And at the very start, we did let's look at your video content now versus how it looks at the end. And a lot of people suddenly get to the first couple of seconds and they haven't really said anything, or maybe they've just said their name. Whereas, if you start with a question, have you ever wondered why this happens? Or anything that's relatable. I guess if you get yourself into a mindset of what would make me stop and watch a video.
And I think as well, when you apply that structured approach, you'll find that video content is all of a sudden a lot shorter, which it should be. I think sometimes people tend to ramble on. They don't really know what they're saying, what the kind of point of the video is, finding sort of the objectives of the video. So that's the other thing I would say is, I think in social media in particular, social media marketing, video, it's short form video we're talking to. It's there's a trend where 30-second videos have 200% higher completion rates. So I think the shorter your video, the better, particularly for marketing purposes.
Ryan loves a stat, doesn't he?
I know, look at you. It's like you've remembered them off.
So this one to Weronika, you might have thoughts on this. What role does messaging and captions play in these short form videos?
I think it plays a massive role, especially because so many people watch videos on mute. So captions make content like very accessible and they reinforce the message. And if someone's half listening, the text keeps them in.
Especially if you're maybe, doing a little bit of sneaky workplace scrolling with the volume off.
Or just like on public transport or anything like that. You don't want to be...
not just in the workplace. Absolutely.
We're working at work. We're not doing anything else. So how important is then a clear call to action?
So I think it's really important, but it needs to feel natural. So if the whole video has been genuine and then you suddenly go hard selling, just people feel it, then the call to action should feel like a logical next step.
Totally.
Not a gear change.
Totally. And I think like we were talking before about, having an idea of the structure of the video, the objectives and the things you want to clearly communicate. They should almost all be formed by that ultimate call to action. So as Ron says, it feels natural. It feels like you're not all of a sudden just, throwing a marketing statement at them. You're actually just nurturing them into that sort of final next step.
And it's kind of what we do on podcasts as well, or the advice we might give to clients is, no one likes being sold to, but you can subtly say, if you want to keep this conversation going, reach out and we'll have a chat. Or, hit me up for more information. Don't know if anyone says hit me up anymore.
I don't think you should.
I'm so uncool.
We're a star.
I'd like to know the video content leading up to hit me up.
Yeah, exactly. So in terms of the content itself, does the video have to be really polished to perform well, or is it more just realistic kind of content that you want to be pushing out?
Social media marketing and video in particular, there's been a huge rise in lo-fi content. And when I say lo-fi content, I mean there's a few ways to name it. It could be user-generated content, but we call it lo-fi content, which basically means it's intentionally meant to look unpolished, and it's not. Obviously, there are things that need to be in place. It needs to be clear in terms of the sound and the quality, but it doesn't have to be perfectly edited. It doesn't need to have that sort of glossy feel. And as I said, I think that more and more companies are now intentionally making sure their video looks, homemade almost, because, as you said, there's that level of authenticity and people can connect with it more easily. And I think that's why TikTok is leading right now, because we've all seen those cringe marketing videos of influencers trying to sell a product on TikTok, but a lot of them weirdly work. And it's because it's just someone in their house that has a camera and they're using the product or whatever it is they're promoting, and it works.
Can we take a look at your TikTok shop history, order history?
I had to delete it.
It's dangerous, isn't it? It's because it's so quick.
But it's because you see people using it. And because the way they make the video, you're like, that
looks like me in my bedroom. I'm in front of that mirror.
So going back to this piece about polished content, so maybe very well produced compared to, quite quick. I guess the point of social media is that we can be quite reactive, so we can push content out quite quickly, whereas you have that top tier level of production that we might film for some clients, which is studio based, whereas we can go out and film. You can, as Kevin has said on the podcast previously, you can film really good content just by the device that's in your own pocket. Is there a balance, I wonder, between authentic and still looking professional? Is there a line there, do you think?
I think there is. I think that a brand piece needs to have that, that kind of content that talks to the legitimacy of the brand, the authority of the brand. But with that said, audience now are becoming increasingly immune to brand narratives. Yeah. It's really easy to tell now when a piece of content, like a video, is talking from a brand perspective versus a person's perspective.
Yeah.
And a person's perspective will almost always be more captivating. Mm-hmm. So I think that, yes, from the sort of brand sort of integrity point of view, there could be sprinkle content there, but if you've got a solid video content strategy, you want to also get your people out there, get your get voices out there that aren't just a logo, music, a voiceover.
Yeah,
we are powering.
Okay, so authenticity important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
So do you think that overly polished content can actually put people off then?
I think so, yeah, especially on platforms like TikTok or Instagram Reels, where the culture is quite raw. So if something looks too produced, it can feel like an ad and people just scroll past it.
Yeah.
So there's almost a trust gap with overly polished content now.
Yeah, definitely.
And just on the flip side of that, is there a risk, do you think, Weronika, of going too far the other way?
I think so, yeah, definitely.
Devaluing your brand, maybe.
Yes, something that looks quite, dimly lit and maybe doesn't really make sense in content-wise. So, yeah, definitely.
I think that leads us nicely on to filming your own content, because obviously we're content creators, we're creatives, we do a lot of this for our clients, but sometimes we'll work with clients that want to film their own, and we can give good guidance on that. For businesses creating their own content, where should they start? Any thoughts on that? Weronika?
I think just start. So pick one format, whether that's behind the scenes clip or a simple product shot or anything that you want, and just get comfortable with filming before you worry about anything else. So
okay.
I think just start.
Yeah.
Just play around, have a bit of fun.
Around.
Yeah.
And
cool.
then storytelling as well, I think that it's one thing to get in front of a camera, but, knowing what you're saying is, don't worry about the filming equipment, don't worry about lighting, of course, but the most important thing is how you communicate what you want to communicate. And there's ways to do that. There's different frameworks, whether that's like hook, value, payoff, or challenge, consequence, and solution. You could do like a listicle, so you could talk to the top 3 products in this space, whatever that is. But knowing what you're going to say, I think is something I think a lot of people miss in that, and when they do start producing content. Have
you ever done a come get ready with me video? Come get ready with me is a day as a content creator.
I've not done that. Have you done that, Rons?
No, and I
think
you
never. Should.
No,
Style
I actually
would
like to see Pete do one.
Probably done one. Guilty. Probably have.
What are some simple tips for framing shots properly then?
So some of the tips I would say is try and film at eye level rather than looking down into the camera. That's definitely one.
Noted.
Keep your subject in the centre, or use the rule of thirds.
Oh yeah.
And always check what's in the background before you press record.
Yeah. Okay, you don't want to get caught out with a rogue logo
full
or
bomb or something.
Yeah. Especially if you're out in the street filming as well.
Yeah.
What about the most common mistakes people might make when they're filming?
So I think filming vertically for a platform that needs vertical content, but then not filming the frame.
Oh yeah.
Lots of dead space.
Yeah.
Oh right, fill that frame.
Yes.
Okay.
And not checking audio before they start, which is a really easy thing to do.
And I've seen you do that in action. Ryan, Weronika, I've seen both of you. Can you just tap your mic? Make sure that the mic is working, because you'll get a great take and then there's no audio.
That would be
true. I think that poor audio that's the thing that would just kill a video in entirety.
Yeah.
You could almost scramble something together if the lighting isn't quite right, or if the shot's a bit too wide, you can maybe pull it in. I mean, it's certainly not ideal, but if your audio is bad, then you could consider it scrapped.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that we can sometimes try and recover these things. You know, we spoke about a text on screen already, captions, but still audio. It's a very important part of it, yeah.
So what should people avoid straight away?
Well, you know, when we were talking before about the brand piece, I think that there's so many times I'm scrolling on LinkedIn or now Instagram, and you see brands come up and they've got their logo there. And this long intro sequence, and you're like, what is this? This isn't a TV show. And the thing is, on social media, the logo's already there by the page that's posted it, so you don't need that. And I think that is crucial time being wasted on, you know, because as we said before, the first few seconds are pivotal. So if that's being wasted on just a generic logo or a generic company message, you know, you're going to lessen your chance of people actually stopping and engaging with the video, paying attention.
Hence the need for that hook we spoke about. Okay.
Totally.
Right, let's get into some of the kit and some of the setup that you guys might use. Do you need expensive equipment to create good video content, do we think?
No, I don't think so. An iPhone is genuinely capable of creating great content.
All right.
The difference between a phone video and a professional camera is a lot smaller than people think when everything else is right.
Okay.
I think strategy and execution matter way more than equipment.
Yeah, because I feel like the iPhones are getting, your phones are getting so much better these days, aren't they?
Yeah.
So what's the basic kit you'd recommend for getting started then?
I think your phone, a well-lit room, and a small tripod or phone stand, so you're not holding it. That's honestly enough to get started.
What's that other thing that you use, that cool little handheld thing that you always walk around with, Rons? What's that called?
A gimbal?
No, the little camera.
The Osmo thing.
Oh,
Osmo. Yeah.
Osmo Pocket 3, yeah.
They are not cheap.
They're not cheap, so I would say this is a basic kit.
Right, not cheap, but great. If you can get that, great.
Yeah.
If not, an iPhone can still do.
You also get like mics and stuff that attach directly to the iPhone. So, I mean, lots of sort of accessories you can get for your iPhone to enhance that video making piece.
Okay, level it up a little bit. So what do you think makes the biggest difference? Camera, lighting, or audio?
I think.
What did you just say there, Aimee? Camera, lights, action. Okay.
I think you've mentioned this, but definitely audio.
Okay.
Without a doubt. People will forgive slightly grainy footage, but they will click off immediately if they can't hear you properly.
Okay. Some interesting points.
There's
I love
really
this.
bad background noise that actually it will make me stop watching a video.
Or even if they've got music over their voice and the music's too loud, that really grates on me. I'm like, stop it. I'm trying to hear what you're saying. So let's chat about how we make videos work then. So how should businesses think about video within their wider strategy?
Video should always support marketing goals. Now, when it comes to any campaign, particularly digital campaigns, I think there's sort of a misconception that, you know, when it comes to the strategy piece, you know, behind a marketing campaign or, you know, whatever the activity is, that video is something that will propel awareness, potentially engagement, and that's that. But, you know, it can do a lot more. It's quite a powerful tool, and it just depends on how you use video content. I mean, if we're talking organic social, then that's most likely the case. But, you know, we've started running a lot of paid ads with video content because the same principles apply. So people stop, they see it, and that in itself is awareness and engagement. But what we find is we can actually tailor the video content to drive click-through a lot better than you could a static ads. There's more, and also just getting people's attention in the first place, you know, because it's moving, it's interesting, what is this? And then we can actually encourage click-through, as I said, whether that's through sort of animation or, you know, subtle animation. Again, there's easy tools to use online to enhance that, you know, mechanism, whether it's Canva or CapCut. But yeah, I think that video can influence sort of all areas of the marketing funnel.
Okay.
And I guess the reason we're posting video, or you're posting video, is for results, right? How do you know if your video content is actually having an effect? How do you know if it's working?
If you look beyond the views, watch times and saves are the ones that I pay most attention to.
Oh, yeah.
Watch times and saves.
Yes.
Okay.
So if people are watching it all the way through or saving it to come back to, that tells you it's actually working.
Right. Okay. Ryan, have you got any thoughts on this?
as Ron said, saves are a really valuable way to measure the success of video content, any content actually, because it shows that people are that much engaged that they want to save it and watch it later, which is highly engaged, which is good. As Ron said, watch time is important, engagement rate. As I mentioned before, looking at the click-throughs of video, that can tell you a lot. Did your message land? Are people watching it all the way through? I think there is, they vary from channel to channel, but there are metrics that actually show you, how much of a percentage of video of the video people are watching in its entirety. So that can be a strong indicator of whether or not the content is resonating.
Is there a benchmark? What's the average watch time? Are we a couple of seconds?
Roughly around 8 seconds is it totally varies from channel to channel,
of course,
in terms of benchmarks. But I think if you're getting around 8 seconds of people watching your video, that's deemed as good. The very, very top performing reels, you're looking at 15 to 20 seconds, which is ideal. And I think that also justifies why short form content should be prioritized. People don't have time to sit and watch, 2-3 minute video. They need to, they need to go on to the next thing. But if you can get everything you need to say to them and capture attention, get that hook in there, get that call to action in there within 20 seconds, you're more than likely to get the reaction from them that you're looking for. With paid ads as well, I think where video is really valuable for us is we use videos not only to, as I mentioned before, grab attention in a sort of more enhanced way, but it's also, we can measure how many people, how much seconds people are watching of said video. And if that goes over a certain amount of time, so say there's a 20-second video and people have seen the ad and watched 11 seconds of that video, we can then retarget those people
so clever,
based on the watch time.
Interesting. Okay, so what should people be testing or improving over time then?
Hooks are the best place to start testing because they have the biggest impact on whether people watch at all. So try different opening lines, different styles, and opening shots and see what keeps people watching for longer.
Okay.
Is there anything wrong with, say you're stuck in that only 200 views point in TikTok, just deleting it and just chucking it up again with a different hook? Do people do that? Is that a thing?
I think you can certainly repurpose content. So, if a particular video didn't land as well as you'd expected it would, then there's nothing wrong with I would never repost the video verbatim because there's obviously something not quite working. Okay. But you can certainly take elements of the video. We've done that for a few clients where they're posting they're posting 2-3 minute videos and it's like, what is this? Nobody is going to watch this in its entirety, and it's too difficult from a narrative stance to actually communicate all the things we want to get across over that amount of time. We're really stretching it. So if we can take that content that they've worked hard to get and we can condense it and tell a shorter, snappier story in, again, like I said, 20 seconds, we can do that and then repost.
Cool.
Wonderful. All right, then, it is time to move on to Amy's favourite part of the podcast. Yep. This is called
404 Answer Not Found. Don't look at me like that, Weronika. I am a robot.
I feel like Veronika's very much in the same boat as me.
Yeah, what do you think of this, Rons?
I hate it.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I don't think I've ever said I hated before.
How does it work, Amy?
So, none of these questions make sense. The answers don't matter. So it's simple.
You can say anything. We're going to go quick fire at this. Amy, why don't you go kick this off?
Okay, so if your camera roll has a personality, what would it be?
I would say mine is chaotic.
Chaotic. Right, next one then. If a bad video could apologise, what would it say?
I'm too long.
Oh, wow. Oh.
I didn't. Anyway.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Let's move on to the next one.
What's the most dramatic thing someone could say before pressing record?
Have you ever had this? You guys ever had this?
No.
Action.
A bit sassy, I like it.
I was thinking, could it be something like, I'm not ready.
Or like, this is the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's
This
not.
will be
And
my
it's not
take.
the one.
All right. If captions could argue back, what would they complain about?
I don't understand your accent.
There are some accents out there for sure.
Okay, so if just one more take was a person, what would they be like?
Someone that's deeply insecure, chasing perfection.
Oh, God. Like you looked at me in the eyes when you said that.
He actually did. He looked right through you. Guys, thank you very much for taking part in our
404 Answer Not Found. Amy's favourite part of the podcast.
Oh, that went a bit weird.
Got a bit carried away there.
Yeah, I did a little bit.
Right then, let's do a bit of a recap. If listeners remember one thing about social video from this episode, what do you think that should be?
Short form is the way forward.
Okay,
And that you don't need to be a production company to make content that works.
that's two things, but they're very good points.
Very good. So the first few seconds matter the most.
Yep.
Your hook, message, and call to action all play a role. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it does need to be clear. And good basics, i.e. framing, lighting, audio, go a long way.
Do we agree with all of that?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I was listening.
Well done, Amy, for listening. Right then, that is just about a wrap on this episode. Veronika, Ryan, thank you so much for joining us.
Yep, and as always, if you'd like to know more about anything we've discussed or need help with your video content, drop us a line.
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram at MearnsGill, and you can also find Mearns and Gill on Facebook, LinkedIn, or online.
You can also message us directly from your podcast platform. We'd love to hear from you.
So now we know how to stop the scroll with video. Where does AI come into things? We're going to get into that next time. We'll catch you then.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.